to call, still ways to get on that point leaderboard, lock in, and hopefully I'll see you in Atlanta.
Doesn't the furnace kind of look like he should have been released during Halloween? He has like a very Halloween I don't even know, but yes, the furnace has a very Halloween kind of vibe to it.
Yeah, you're kind of right. I don't know what it is, but I can't really put my finger on it, but you're definitely right. It definitely does give off that vibe.
Like, I don't know if there's lore behind the furnace. I haven't checked on it, but it looks like the furnace was magically, like, given life by the wizards. Like, maybe the classic wizard was like, Calibra Blam, and then now we have a walking... I don't know what he says. Cast a spell. He wouldn't say fireball.
He does say fireball.
But he wouldn't say it to turn a furnace into that's already the fireball.
Yeah. He probably would just, like, show his beautiful, luscious hair, and then call upon the hair legend for power.
Here we go, and sending that on. Don, is there lore behind the furnace conversion? Let us know. Here we are into approaching double elixir time. Fireball gonna go ahead and get on that evolved furnace. Doesn't matter much. And that's going to be maybe one. Did the log do its job? No. One shot does get through. So to kick off our double elixir time, Curry does connect with the Royal Giant.
Really nice play there by Curry with the E-Spirit. Not only hit the skeletons, but changed from the furnace fire spirits to the furnace. And even though furnace does survive fireball, it's very, very low HP after that. So he did a good job of using that E-Spirit to clean off the board. Another big push on the right-hand lane. And the Barbro coming through does a good job of kind of tanking for the RG. I really like the Earthquake. Earthquake, other than pros, like, I feel like Earthquake is not used enough in this sort of situation, just for the slowing down of those units. Yes, it does a bunch of damage to towers, but it does slow down all units a significant amount to really give your tower and your buildings enough time to get that damage in. And here we see another Earthquake driving down, slowing that RG.
And the Monk right in front, doing a good job. Not going to take care of the furnace, though. And this push stopped easily, and now we're starting to stack the furnace play. Fisherman pulls the Evolved across the board. Hog Rider should get one, and it does. Doesn't get two. 21:39 is the mark, as we are very tight. 20 HP separating in this right-hand lane with under 2 minutes to go.
Berserker back in cycle dealing with the Wizard. It's going to push forward. Ice Spirit might jump on, but the Wizard is going to splash it down. We see a high furnace, but the Fisherman lock skeletons are not supporting. This is going to be a big push for Curry. It could be fairly difficult to stop, but the Evo Tesla is in cycle rate.
And Monk with one more good reflection. This time the Evo RG has a pretty significant amount of HP, forces a second Tesla out. So the defense will end up holding, but now a pretty nice elixir advantage for Curry as we go into triple. Let's see if he's able to capitalize on that against the Hog Q cycles.
Monk to the bridge once again. High furnace, not giving fireball value. Ice Spirit in a log. Trying to put this Monk back to a spot where it doesn't deflect the tower, but it does get pushed forward by the RG. Free fireball, but pre-placement of the Tesla in a anti-fireball position, but another Evo Royal Giant being placed to the bridge immediately with the Fisherman to pull away the Berserker. And Curry just continuing to apply pressure. The Ice Spirit does get taken out, but a solid defense nonetheless.
And somehow that RG doesn't get a shot off. 21 seconds left, and it's looking like Clown, after putting together a number of great defenses, has one more defense he has to get done. Huge slow, pre-fireball, tries to get the Tesla. Tesla dropped late to hold, 7 seconds left. Log now for some cycle. RG needs to not shoot. RG shoots 15:01, EQ opposite direction. GG, well played, and Clown just put together a defensive masterclass against what looked to be some unstoppable pushes from Curry.
Yeah, I mean, you called it perfectly. I mean, great stuff, Rich. I mean, that was really solid stuff. I think the one thing that I can really give like insight and analysis on was once again those earthquakes. Not only did he slow down the RG, but he did it in a timing in which he could make it so that the monk ability was not able to get the value that he wanted to. Obviously, with the monk, you want to deflect the princess towers, but you also want to try and tank the Tesla to get the RG to take it out and then get to the tower. But a lot of the time, he would play the earthquake to slow down the RG when his opponent hit that monk ability, and then just kind of vie for time, slow down RG, and then plays the Tesla when the monk ability was no longer active. He also did a great job of kiting the monk always towards the edges of the map so that the centralized Tesla placements could lock directly on top of the win condition instead of getting that damage reduction, allowing for that on defense.
You know, I'd have to watch that back one more time, but I feel like I saw one earthquake played where it slowed down the monk but didn't slow down the RG and got the RG to continue moving faster, so the RG kind of pushed past the monk a little bit into that space on the right-hand side. Either way, you know, you're talking about defensive earthquakes. For a long time, they were only thought offensively. Then we saw them start to be used effectively against Graveyard, and now this is another evolution of defensive earthquakes. Either way, between that and the Tesla placement, the Tesla timing and delays, Clown putting on a beautiful performance in game number 1. So now we think about game number 2, and, you know, Juice, it used to be a much deeper conversation that we would have about, well, game number 1 has happened. Now, knowing what you have left, game number 2, what do you do? Obviously, with the depth and breadth of the card situation, it's harder to just kind of make a simple progression from, oh, hey, well, he played this, now I'm going to go this direction. What is the conversation like, as far as you know, about getting ready for game number 2? Is it more just, hey, we kind of had these things planned, or is there more of a direction that you're taking based on reactions?
I would assume there's definitely a lot of reactionary elements to it. Obviously, you're going to have, like, certain stuff planned, like you said, or there's obviously always certain decks that players are a little bit better with when it comes to what they're practicing. But I think that you are inputting the information of what was played in game 1, and you're trying to, once again, you're not trying to guess exactly what deck your opponent is going to play next, but based on the given information, you want to just try to get yourself in a situation where you have a 50-50 matchup, or maybe even slightly better. And that's what the coaches' jobs are, really. They're just trying to get that fairly decent, even matchup for their players, and then it's on the players to showcase their gameplay. Speaking of amazing gameplay, lovely snowball there to keep to get rid of the opposing Spirit Empress for occurring here. Very well played.
First 90 seconds passing, and Drill will make its work on the right-hand side. Bar Barrel to pull the Berserker back away from support. Snowball to clean up. And, you know, that's one of the things about the Evo Snowball. We saw that earlier today with Wallace playing Evo Snowball alongside the Drill, is, you know, people have gotten pretty darn good at picking up the goblins that pop out of that Drill. Evo Snowball, able to collect and force you to at least spend more elixir, or pick your poison and take some more damage. So what a great synergy between a card that was already good with Drill and now it's better.
Yeah, it's always so interesting to think about how no one even uses Evo Drill. I think I did an evolution tier list the other day. I think Drill might be the worst Evo, just because there's no reason you'd want to use it. You'd rather use regular Drill almost most of the time, and then use some sort of supporting Evos like that Evo Snowball.
Yeah, it's interesting because Evo Drill was, for a long time, one of the most abused and crazy heroes. But as other things come in and change the game, we see the evolution of the game, pun intended. Here we go, final 20 seconds of regulation time, and no one's really established any sort of strong foothold here. A slight lead for Curry on that right-hand side, but after looking for the first 3 minutes of gameplay, are you seeing any sort of rhythm or pattern that makes you feel like we're leaning one direction or the other?
I do think that I'm liking Clown's situation a little bit. The defense is really solid. The Bar Barrel is great versus Drill Snowball. And then here comes the Graveyard finally. This is what he's been waiting for. He does get the Graveyard down. Curry does have the poison, but he's doing a great job of using his Spear Empress, and he's not going to get any damage right now. But I think as we head into Triple Elixir, we're going to start seeing some big Evo 9 Spear Empress pushes. It's going to be tough for Curry to defend.
And that is raises the question, right? You're obviously one of your goals if you're Clown is to keep the poison off of your own tower. Where do you see him getting the primary damage out of this deck? Out of the graveyards themselves, or out of guessing that's a poison as the final card? Could be wrong.
Yeah.
Or from some of these knights and empresses.
I think the biggest thing in this matchup is that you're going for your graveyard, but you're also going for these big pushes. And obviously it is on Curry. If he is able to perfectly defend, like, he will win this game. But if one Spear Empress connection is all it takes, I think that if Clown is going to win this game, that's what's going to happen. That's what it's going to take.
And classic Snowball gets some room, 1900 HP on the left-hand side, 45 seconds left. Graveyard in on the right-hand lane. And Clown doing his best to press the issue, but now Curry has opened up enough of a lead that Clown is forced to put on some real damage, so you see the pressure staying on. Evo Knight now back to a graveyard one more time. Princess does target Evo Knight. Wow. And Poison's working on defense, damage coming in from these skeletons. And Clown ripping some elixir there as he's trying to wait for his defense. And that might be enough to guarantee game number 2 win for Curry.
Yeah, one last graveyard can come down, but Curry doing a great job of just controlling the Spear Empress. He did a perfect job of controlling the Spear Empress with his, and he also somehow always was able to get his Spear Empress to lock on. He really just had a really good idea of the synergies between his Spear Empress and the Snowball, just kind of always keeping control of the map. And it seemed like that's what Clown was really missing in his deck. A lot of the time in Splash Yard, you have like a tornado, historically at least, a tornado to allow you to have that control over your opponent's cards. But without that in this situation, it seems like Curry was just too locked in with the Snowball and too consistent with his damage with that drill.
And able to open up a nice little lead there at the end with the Snowball drill combination and create some separation. And after that point, Jackson, as you pointed out, it was pretty simple there. There was one push kind of in that last third that looked like it had some danger to it. The Knight did get across, drew the Princess's focus, but as you said, the Spirit Empress not able to break away and get real damage. And, you know, it's funny taking a look at sort of the evolution of Graveyard, like what cards stick around with Graveyard forever, and the weird pieces that slide in, slide out. And Spirit Empress, of course, making her spot in here. Would you have preferred to see a NATO version of Graveyard?
That's a good question. I mean, looking at the deck here, the question is what do you put it instead of? Obviously, you could usually do the guards here, but without the guards, then it becomes even more difficult to defend that drill. I don't think so. No, I don't think I would prefer to see a tornado here, especially after that pretty substantial tornado nerf. If anything, if I were to try to make this matchup a little bit better for Clown, maybe even just a quicker cycle variation, maybe even like skeletons or goblins instead of the guards, trying to get more graveyards out and just force the issue more, apply more pressure, cycle to more Spirit Empresses.
We'll get ready for game number 3 between these two. And, you know, we've seen sort of some perfection on the side of Clown in game number 1, able to defend against the Royal Giant. And then in game number 2, you kind of called it early on, Curry with a pretty solid matchup situation. And once he was able to just play his defense and not make mistakes, solid lockdown. Going into game number 3, as we get ready, hopefully get a look here at some of the decks, and we're going to take a look at Hog here. Any adjustments you would make for either of these two players, or continue along the course that you see?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think, I mean, there's just so many possibilities when it comes to Clash Royale. Like, there's definitely so many adjustments that can be made. As we head into game 3 here, I mean, we do have an interesting matchup. It looks like Monk RZ versus what looks to be a Hog Rider Boss Bandit deck. a lot of the time, the Fisherman does a great job in this sort of matchup. We'll see as the cards continue to unfold what Curry has in store for us here.
And a pretty solid Boss Bandit log sequence. The Magic, or the Wizard, will come out on top out of the conversation, but Curry right back to Hog, and gonna have to rely on a Monk for defense as Clown here. King Tower activation will, of course, be impactful.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the Hog Rider is gonna struggle to connect. He's already got a solid amount of damage so far. He does have guards too, so this guards is gonna make a big difference. A lot of time Hog use skeletons, which is just free fodder for the Rage and the Eastern contact. But those guards are gonna be very spell resistant and give Curry an even better chance to defend versus these big pushes.
And Uiz absorbs the first shot. Boss Bandit does use the ability and get back onto the Wizard. Fishboy goes down and forced to use some goblins to pick all that up. And Curry putting the pressure on here, but the Rage on defense enough to slow things down. Although, with this Monk going down here fairly soon, a slight elixir advantage it seems maybe, or it wasn't to be for Curry. Clown instead turns it around and decides to go RG in the opposite lane to our right-hand side.
Yeah, this is something that I talk a lot about when it comes to Royal Giant. Royal Giant can really be played in two ways. It's one of the most unique decks in Clash Royale. You can play it as a cycle deck, or you can play it as a beatdown deck. And I always tell people, if you're going against a cheap cycle deck, play it like a beatdown. And that's what Clown's doing right here. The double RG. And then he's got the Monk ability deflecting the tower. He's defending the right side quite nicely. And even the wall gets deflected from Curry. And this Royal Giant continues to be on the tower, taking it all the way down to 470, even lower with the Fireball taking it down all the way to 0 with the last Royal Giant hit. Wow, Clown really just changing everything here in game 3, and that's going to be the set.
And that's what you were talking about, Juice, about turning this thing into, you're saying in this matchup, turning it into a beatdown situation.
Yeah.
And Curry found himself in that exact beatdown defense problem of, now this big thing is crossing the bridge,
yeah.
and there are so many other things there. How do I stop all the things? And Curry just not able to stop all the things. The fireball at the end, and I really loved that play in Clown, you know, kind of recognizing that Evo RG would have just enough. There wasn't enough DPS to take it off, so fireballs gets the firecracker off the board to go for the final killing blow to end this thing and get his first round win. Just a really complete performance from Clown.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing in that matchup is the Rage. I mean, we saw Clown do a great job in a similar matchup as that and take that win earlier in the set. But when the roles are reversed here with the Rage, instead of what normally would be, I guess, a log or a barbarian barrel, as we saw before, that Rage just increasing the hit speed of not only the Royal Giant, but allowing the Monk to get more knockback, allowing the Wizard to just pop off, get that splash damage, prevent any value from the guards from dropping down. But if we're really going to talk about what made the biggest difference, it was just a slight mistake from Curry. He played that log as second too early. The Monk deflecting that and not allowing the log to stun the Royal Giant to give him more time for defense. I mean, everything just snowballed from there.
Well, that's how quickly it can go wrong. 1-2 elixir spell play just a little bit off kilter, and next thing you know, you are down in the lower bracket, which is where we will find Curry next time that we see him. Of course, keep in mind, folks, this is a double elimination tournament, so nobody you see losing in these first few matches is knocked out of the event quite yet. You have to lose twice to be knocked out. But if you keep on winning, you make an easy road, a quick road at least, to that final and hopefully a shot at a golden ticket and a World Finals trip to Atlanta at DreamHack. And if you haven't started putting it together yet, folks, if you are interested in going, it is going to be at the end of October, beginning of November in Atlanta. Get your plane tickets now. Find your hotels now and buy your tickets to DreamHack and come check out what's going to be one of the most festive Clash Royale World Finals. We're going to be a part of the overall gaming community as opposed to just doing our own private thing separately. So it's going to be a totally different vibe than you've ever had for a World Finals. I know that Jackson and I, along with Andrew and Josh, are all really excited to be going to this one. So hopefully we'll see you there, and of course we'll see some of these competitors there as well. Jackson, we're getting ready for our third matchup of the day. We've already had some interesting victories. Igor with the win over Wallace, Clown now taking down Curry, and coming up next, we have a fun matchup of two guys who both kind of had their breakouts at a similar time in Arden Toas and Adriel, two players who are post the team's era, who both started kind of making their noise really at the end of 2022 and into 2023, and we've really seen them both with Adriel's performance in the 2022 World Finals, or at the 2023 World Finals, and then Arden Toas, who I'll admit I picked against after seeing how he'd always struggled on a live stage, finally coming into his own at his most recent World Finals appearance. This is a fun matchup of two kind of young breakout stars now turning into CRL mainstays.
Yeah, another thing about Arden, last month, he looked different than I ever seen him before. It seemed he was giving me more of a Lucas vibe, where he was starting to, or maybe not even a Lucas vibe, like an old Lucas vibe, where he lets like his emotions kind of dictate his current position. But he ended up doing all right. Adriel, on the other hand, we know him just be super stone cold. So I feel like there's a kind of clash of personalities here where, you know, if Arden's able to get that first win, he's probably gonna be feeling really good. He's probably gonna have a lot of momentum. Adriel, on the other hand, no matter what happens, he's gonna stay locked in, and he's gonna be putting his decks together, try and get that solid matchup and get that victory.
And Adriel currently, if you include the golden ticket winners, he is 7th on the leaderboard. If you take them out and you're thinking just about those qualifying points, those top 6 players making it to World Finals, he is currently 5th on that leaderboard with 40 points. So every single win at this point for both of those, Arden Toas behind him. Adriel currently with 100 points, Arden Toas just 10 points behind him with 90. So if neither of these players wins a golden ticket and actually qualifies for CRL either through one of these monthlies or through our LCQ, if one of them qualifies on points, this could be the matchup that decides which one of these two qualifies for Worlds.
Right. Yeah, it's a really good call there. Like, we're talking about the here and now with the prize pool, with the golden ticket. It's big, even the silver ticket. But once again, consistency is also key in CRL. Those points, anything that you can get to try and get to World Finals, like that's what it's all about. Because the prize pool, once we get there, I mean, it's gonna be insane compared to even a large prize pool as this, a $50,000 prize pool.
Well, let's take a look as we jump into our opening matchup, joining it just a moment behind. And yeah, okay, you know what, Jackson? I said the same thing. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, for a second, since we joined late, I thought he played Minion Horde Bridge first play, but looks like what we've missed is a minor wall breakers push left the lane. He defended with Minion Horde, and then Arden then defending that with the Mighty Miner. This is interesting. Minion Horde is something we haven't seen in Clash Royale League in a very long time, maybe ever. But as we know, minions did get a buff, a range buff recently. And they're honestly really strong, despite the fact that Furnace is really ramped meta. So that goes to show like how strong they are even more. But Adriel decided to go for double minions here, which I feel like could be like an insane like play. It could end up getting a little wild with some minions on the tower here and there. But at the same time, it is a card that if Arden plays perfectly, he should be able to control with the Mighty Miner, with the Tesla. The Evo is important, but also the Evo wall breakers should do a good job for controlling the minions in the Minion Horde here.
First 90 seconds away, and Arden now with the Evo wall breakers behind, mortar high to hold, Tesla to prevent any sort of mortar lock will do its job fine. And Adriel, let's see if he sets up in the back here and uses this elixir advantage to create something. And he will. He'll send some minions in the back, kind of the best option that he has. They should still maybe interact with that Tesla. Miner goes and picks up the Tesla aggro. And now Poison to clear the defensive minions. And he's not going to get one on tower, but you see Arden had to get that Mighty Miner out, maybe in a less than ideal situation.
Yeah, definitely. Minions dropping up high, going to force the Mighty Miner ability. Miner Poison left-hand lane. Deciding to switch lanes here. I don't know if I agree with that. A lot of times you do want to go same lane as Siege decks. Siege meaning Mortar or Expo, because here comes the Mortar, and a lot of the time you do want to poison the tower plus Mortar.
Boy.
And he's low in elixir. Wait, Evil Mortar might just lock. Okay, he does get the Mighty Miner down in time.
And for a second, that's what I was talking to. That's why I said, oh boy there, Jackson. It was, it looked for a second like the Miner might walk close enough. And this is a couple of times now where this deck out of Adriel has forced Arden to make funky plays, right? The Mighty Miner now used a couple of times for kind of funky pickups, especially that just stopping that one swipe from a minion. But look at the results of this still. Adriel up by about 300 and change, a little under 300 HP. Miner now will go ahead and start lowering the gap. But it's still this kind of harassment that Adriel is able to create is significant.
Yeah, so really interesting macro here. See, as Arden just realizes that he needs to go same lane, starts attacking the right, but then Adriel, the Furnace on the left, getting one down and cycling to the Evo Furnace as well. And since Arden does not have the King Meter, he has the Princess Towers, he's really struggling to defend. And now Adriel with the Mortar Evo. So we have Evo Furnace, another Furnace, a Mortar Evo on the board, and Adriel, you can see him, that's the most emotion you'll see from Adriel. A little bit of a eyebrow raise, a little bit confused on how in the world Arden was able to defend here, but he's still up damage. Miner Poison inbound, and we're heading into triplexer overtime here, Rich. And one wall breaker connects. This is going to be a fairly even match here.
859 to 1159, so just a few hundred HP separating these two. Miner goes to the inside, Wallbreaker picks up, but the Miner does retarget to the tower. That is a huge retarget that happens. Down to under 500 HP on the right-hand lane is Arden with the Poison. Poison now working opposite direction, 30 seconds left. You see Arden given the sigh there, or Adriel, Arden given the sigh, knowing that he finally got overwhelmed, and maybe sitting there going, hey, what the heck was I supposed to do? And that, again, it comes back to this thing that I said earlier, Jackson, is it just felt like this deck wouldn't stop harassing Adriel. Yeah. And over time, that just, it was almost like death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah, and that's the power of the Furnace. You know, he always was playing the Furnace in the opposite lane, spawning those Fire Spirits, always abusing the minions. Like you said, it seemed like there were so many situations where Arden needed to play the last second Mighty Miner or last second Tesla high elixir card to stop a little bit of damage, but that just gave even more elixir advantage to the opponent to continue to applying that pressure, to continue harassing with these low elixir cards. Really good play from Adriel, kind of realizing that. And this is what Adriel is known for, honestly. He's known for just getting like a decent or like a solid matchup and then just abusing every little interaction within those advantages to just come out on top.
And looking at game number one, Poison and Log used on both sides. Fairly similar general concepts here, right? Miner control out of Ardentois, but the Mortar Miner plus the Furnace and the double minions, which was certainly fun to see. And I feel like we only saw the Horde played in a single lane one time. I could be wrong in my recollection, but it didn't feel like the Horde actually got super involved in that game.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely right. It's definitely because of those wall breakers, the Poison, the Tesla, the Mighty Miner. There's a lot of counters to it. I don't really understand what he was looking for, the Horde. I mean, obviously, it does have a bit of surprise factor. Like if you have your opponents have their counters out of cycle, you go for the Miner Minion Horde at the bridge. It's very easy to lose a game just straight up from a Miner Minion Horde at the bridge if you're not expecting it.
Yeah, I'm trying to go see if I can double check to see if that was only used the one time. Let me, I need to go ahead and log in there. I'll get that sorted out here in a moment. Yeah, no, I think that was the biggest surprise, right? And this is one of the things that we'll see, I think, as we get into those best of fives. But when you make some of those choices, maybe those surprise choices, and we saw in this case the surprise choice, the surprise got spoiled really early.
Yeah.
Right. It was the first card out from Adriel. What's the value of those choices? And I think that I would feel a little different about the double minion, about the Horde in particular, if this was game one of a best of 5 versus game one of best of 3. Now, all that being said, Adriel still got the win. So who cares how we feel about the about the decision making? Because you got the dub, and that's the number one thing here. And I guess the question now, Juice, when you're thinking from Arden's side of the board, are you a little more maybe hesitant or ready for something or expecting something weird now that you've seen Adriel willing to make this choice in game number 1?
I don't think so. I think that Arden needs to just play his game, play in his lane. I think Adriel's team, once again, they do a really good job of trying to figure out exactly what they're going to be up against and trying to get a really solid matchup versus that. So Arden needs to think less about what he thinks Adriel is going to play and think more about what Adriel will play based on what he thinks he will play. So I think that it really comes down to Arden. I mean, you can always try to counter to the counter, you know, and there's a lot of mind games that go into it. But once again, I think if Arden just brings out a deck that's solid and fairly unpredictable, he should be able to be in a pretty solid situation.
And now looking back at it, the Minion Horde was played twice overall in that game by Adriel. But still doesn't matter. Got the win either way, and here goes a man after your heart, Electro Giant. a little beat down here for Arden Toas in game 2.
Lightning gonna drop, but the cannon pulling that over. The Spear Empress is gonna stay alive. You can see once again, Arden just like wearing his emotions on his shoulder here, and yeah, Spear Empress is gonna get a hit. This is definitely not the start he wanted. That 1 HP cannon really throwing a wrench in his plans, but you know, there's still a lot of game to be played, and he knows that. He's going to drop the cage, get the Evos in cycle, and do his very best.
First minute away, Adriel just opts to get his cannon cycled, put everything in the right order that he wants for this next step, puts the Empress in the back corner.
Yeah, and then once again, you got to talk about the Adriel's just team for deck picking. Really solid stuff here. Cannon plus Drill for E-Giant plus Evo Snowball for E-Giant. And then the Evo Cannon also one of the best counters, the Evo Archers. Arden does have the Spear Empress. I do like the Spear Empress plus E-Giant synergy. Spear Empress does a great job of just kind of hovering over the river and trying to snipe at those buildings to get the E-Giant to the tower. But you can see how Adriel is just controlling that really nicely. One note though, once again, the cannon Evo out of cycle now. Maybe there's a chance that Arden makes something happen to Evo Archers here.
Well, let's take a look. In the double elixir, Adriel cycles his knight to the left-hand side, goes for the Empress to work on the middle. Fireball should get it all together.
Wow.
And what an absolute, you know, I have to think there, Juicy, as I see the results of that was an absolute troll job from Adriel. That he was just going, hey, I'm going to look like I'm cheesy just trying to snipe your cage, but really I'm hovering a fireball ready for you to put those Evo Archers down.
Yeah. Yeah. The counter push is here. Tornado is out. Should be able to take out the Spear Empress pretty quickly. But the E-Giant is not making it to the tower, and the Knight's going to do a great job of tanking. So now it's Adriel's time to attack once again.
Now you mentioned, you talk about the different Evos being out, Evo Archers out of cycle. That was a good opportunity. Either way, you know, both players taking swings, Juicy, but so far no one able to find any sort of real opportunity for a breakthrough.
Yeah, that Gold Knight it's definitely going to give him a chance here, but the Spear Empress just hits so hard. It really is like a mini P.E.K.K.A. in the air. Even though the reflection's coming through, it still has so much HP as well. So E-Giant really struggling to make it to the tower here.
Into sudden death overtime, and Arden unhappy with something there.
Yeah. And this is what I mean. I really don't think the emotions are going to help you here. I think you have to stay locked in and you have to play the best of your ability, no matter how difficult the matchup or how unlucky the situation is.
Oh,
but
boy.
yeah, just Goblins connecting here. The bar barrel just too early. He's shaking his head. He's angry. This is not what you want to see.
Well, I'm guessing, I believe Arden streams while he's competing too, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong there. So, you know, it's also one of those things where you're also trying to be entertainment at the same time. I might be wrong with whether he's streaming or not, but I think he does. That's one of those things too. I mean, you know better than anybody that it's maybe at least a little bit more challenging playing when you're trying to be entertaining as well as opposed to just being locked in.
Sure. Yeah, 35 seconds on the clock. Cannon's on the board. E-Giant, he does get a decent lightning, but there it is. The Tornado nerf once again. Just, it's not doing really any damage here to the Spear Empress. So lightning not able to take it out. And another Spear Empress on the board once again. I feel bad. I mean, I feel bad, like, as a fellow E-Giant enjoyer, I don't think there's any way Arden's winning this game. He knows it. He drops the lightning on the king, and it's over here, Rich.
And a 2-0 for Adriel. And you put together a solid gameplay with a great selection of cards and decks. And you come out with a clean sweep to open things up. And again, you see the difference where Adriel is just consistently always kind of one. I've seen him smile. Because I've met him in person. He's